In regards to the continuing investigation, the family of Shanquella Robinson has provided fresh, alarming information to the President of the United States. A letter to President Joe Biden requesting for an arrest was recently revealed, along with documents outlining a medical examiner's conclusions, interviews with hotel workers, and law enforcement reports. Robinson's attorneys pleaded with White House officials in a letter to President Biden to track down those accountable for the 25-year-old's misfortune. But what do these new information hold, and why does the Cabo 6 should freak out about it? That's what we're delving into in today's video. But of course, before I spill anything, make sure first that you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell for more updates and videos like this. Now, let's jump in. My clients recognize the U.S. government has many priorities and responsibilities, but believe that intervening in this case would not only serve the interests of justice, but also send a clear message that transnational criminal activities will not be tolerated, the letter stated. In the letter, the attorneys asked for help from the U.S. government in two specific ways. The United States can follow the extradition protocol and turn over the individual or individuals responsible for Shanquella's demise to Mexican authorities. Alternatively, U.S. federal law enforcement agencies can request concurrent jurisdiction with Mexican law enforcement agencies, which would permit U.S. prosecutors to bring the case in the United States as the involved parties are U.S. citizens, the letter reads. The letter went on to say that as a result of the inquiry, a warrant had been issued to Dejanae Jackson, one of the 6 women Shanquella had traveled with. Ms. Jackson was recognized as the femicide's culprit. The document reads, "The attorneys are also calling on President Biden and the State Department to extradite everyone on the trip back to Mexico to face criminal charges." Additionally, the concierge of the villa, who served as the group's translator during the trip, provided a thorough first-person account of the incident that was given to Mexican authorities along with the letter. The concierge told an investigator, with the specialized unit for the investigation of crimes, that Jackson was the main guest handling the trip arrangements. The concierge also said that the first night the group arrived, he noticed something was off. He said Robinson was the last person to join the group for dinner and that she seemed not to fit in with the others. The concierge continued. He greeted her, but she did not smile or say anything to him. She was different, but it has nothing to do with the atmosphere of the celebration. She was out of place at the party. The concierge told detectives that Dejanae Jackson contacted him the following day, October 29 at 1:50 p.m., asking if he was available and where the closest medical facility was. The text read, "I think my friend has alcohol poisoning and needs emergency service." Jackson said that the concierge had offered to send doctors who could speak English and decide whether Robinson needed to go to the hospital, as well as translators speak Spanish for them. Jackson nodded in agreement and requested that the doctor be dispatched right away. Later, the concierge informed police that Jackson had texted him to tell that Robinson would be brought to a hospital, adding that although Robinson wasn't in critical condition, he needed an IV and was all but comatose. The group was debating whether or not they had insurance that would cover the hospital visit, the concierge reported. The concierge contacted the on-call physician for the villa at around 2 p.m. The villa's administrator got in touch with the concierge to find out if he needed an ambulance after security was told to let one in. Robinson started convulsing an hour after the doctor tried to give her an IV. Afterwards, he got a call telling him to head over to the villa as soon as possible since Robinson had passed away. The concierge stated the guests were comfortably seated around the bar and dinner table in the main room when he entered the property after arriving and observing one of the guests discussing with authorities. When he went to Jackson to express his sympathies, she informed him that they had notified Robinson's mother about the tragedy and that it had been so sudden for her to lose her due to drinking too much. According to the concierge, Jackson proceeded to ask him if he could give her a hug. "She gave me a very indifferent hug, very cold. I saw a very sad guest, a skinny girl, and I saw that she was in pain," the concierge told the investigator. "I left that area and stayed outside the main entrance to give them space to mourn and grieve. Minutes later, I heard laughter," the concierge went on to recall. A ride to San Jose was arranged for the group after Jackson texted the concierge about dinner several hours later, but he later learned that the gang had traveled to the airport the following day. The villa was deserted, and a maid informed the concierge and inquired as to whether the visitors had left. The concierge was surprised to learn that Jackson had not texted. Jackson didn't respond until the next day, which was October 31st, when she told him that they had already left for the US and asked if she needed to sign anything for checkout. The concierge claimed that he afterwards recognized Jackson had used him as a pawn in order to push him into leaving the country as quick as possible once the video of Jackson attacking Robinson was made public. Additionally, the villa's manager admitted to authorities in a separate interview that he recognized Jackson from the viral video right away since he had already met her. Top government authorities have since received a copy of the medical examiner's report, which states that Robinson's demise was brutal and that she had perished due to a fractured neck. A death certificate issued later said Robinson died of severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, and a police report taken from the villa says she died of cardiac arrest. The medical examiner's report states that there were friction burns alongside Robinson's left ankle, contusions on her head, and other injuries consistent with resuscitation efforts such as CPR and a defibrillator. Meanwhile, online users have called out Shanquella's friends, labeling them as monsters. Those aren't friends, they're monsters. The fact that someone sat there and recorded that brutal beating, no one stopped it. It must have been a setup. They took her there to brutalize her and turned it into murder. They all need to be brought up on charges. One person wrote, "Something needs to be done ASAP. This happened in Mexico, but USA citizens committed this horrible crime. Please, Biden, help bring these criminals to justice." Another person added, "OMG, they were laughing after she was dead. Disgusting. If those Cabo 6 don't go to prison, they'll serve their time in hell." While another person simply said her so-called friends should be charged in the United States. Robinson, a 25-year-old from Charlotte, passed away on October 29 in Cabo, Mexico under suspicious circumstances while on a vacation with 6 people. The group, according to Robinson's family, says she perished from alcohol poisoning, but medical examinations and records raise questions about the circumstances of Robinson's demise. Her story has gone viral and several thousands of Americans are calling on U.S. officials to make an arrest in her demise. So far, no arrests have been made. Shortly after, a video began to spread online claiming to show a naked Robinson being hit multiple times by another woman. A person not seen in the video was heard saying, "Quella, can you at least fight back?" The Observer has not been able to independently verify Robinson is the person in the video, but Robinson's mother has told multiple media outlets she recognizes her daughter in the footage. In March of 2023, attorneys Ben Crump and Sue Ann Robinson named Dejanae Jackson as the person wanted by Mexican authorities in connection with Robinson's death in a letter addressed to President Joe Biden and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, citing findings from a trip Sue Ann Robinson took to Mexico. The letter calls on the U.S. government to either extradite Jackson to Mexico or prosecute her in the U.S. In documents attached to the letter and shared with the Charlotte observers by lawyers, the administrator and concierge for the villa where Robinson and her group were vacationing tell Mexican authorities that they recognize Jackson as the woman in the physical altercation with Robinson in the widely circulated video. Is this the end of the case? Will Shanquella finally find justice? Only time will tell. That's all for us today. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos like this.